we're running a little bit short of time, so I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to hand the mic over to my husband, Alan West. I'm sure you know him. I came to the Catholic faith, Roman Catholic faith, from the Anglican Catholic Church. I was born in Jamaica, and you know the Anglican Catholic Church. It is the Episcopalian Church. The Episcopalian Church loved me. Okay, I was confirmed and everything else, and a number of things happened in the interim, and I'm sure you've heard. They've had a lot of problems. So I want to talk to you about Christianity today and what's really happening to us. And yesterday, a little bit of information about yesterday. I spoke about pro-life at a meeting up in Orlando. Now, I'm sure you've heard of a group called Open Doors, and they have documented in the past year at least 100 million Christians that were oppressed around the world. Countries such as Asia, the Middle East are the worst offenders. And you know, I'm sure you've listened to Rand Paul speak about Christians being especially oppressed in the Islamic countries. But close to home, we have a soft oppression, okay? We have a soft oppression built upon PC speak. It is not correct to say this, it is not correct to say that. One particular pro-abortion writer has coined a phrase, actually a term that she feels is a divisive term, a hate term. You want to know what that term is? Life. Life. Life is now a hate term. So what I'm going to say to you, though, and I'm going to pick back up from Alan, he's going to speak for a little bit. The good news is, and I want to read this quote, and I want to make sure that I get it. No matter the falsehoods, the gospel is like an anvil that you can beat. You can beat it as many times as you want with the hammers of skepticism, derision, and insult. And in the end, the anvil will remain the way it was, and the hammers will eventually wear out. We have got to wear out these hammers. Okay? I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Angela. And I am here in my official capacity as Angela's driver. I'm not Catholic, but one of the things that was very special to me was having the gentleman here come up to me, and he's originally from Atlanta, Georgia, and he was baptized in the same parish where I went to school, Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic, up in Boulevard and Auburn Avenue, so it was great to meet you. But Angela talks about something that's so important, that we have to understand that there is a physical and also a spiritual warfare that is going on against Christians. You think about what just recently happened about 3 or 4 weekends ago in Kenya, where people who were out shopping in a mall, and all of a sudden folks come up to them and say, recite this verse in the Quran, or else you will be killed. They escorted people out of the mall that could recite that verse. And I was, you could say, unfortunate enough to find the actual accounts of what happened in that mall. Some of those people were beheaded, and their heads were thrown out of windows. Some of the people were disemboweled. Bodies were dismembered. Ears were cut off, eyes were gouged out. But you didn't hear about that in the news. You didn't hear about it in the news about the young Coptic Christian girl who was walking home from her Bible study in Egypt, and she was gunned down and killed. You're not hearing about the churches in Egypt that are being overtaken, and they're being graffitied with radical Islamic texts. You didn't hear about, on that exact same weekend, of what happened in Kenya, about 78 Christians who were killed in Pakistan. You don't hear about a group called Boko Haram in Nigeria, who has been waging an incredible war against Christians there. But it's not just overseas. That's the physical aspect. It is here, the spiritual aspect, that is what is occurring. Last night, I was coming back from Jacksonville, the executive director of our Alan West Foundation, Joe Finley. We spoke up there in Jacksonville. And as I was coming down I-95, I saw this message on electronic billboards. One was in Cocoa Beach, the other was in Vero Beach. Find Jesus in the Quran. Go to whyislam.com. See, this is what slowly happens when all of a sudden you lose the sense of who you are in your faith. Because as it says in Psalm 11:4, When the foundations are destroyed, what shall the righteous do? We are facing three very interesting enemies in the United States of America right now, and there is an unholy alliance between the three. And these ideologies of progressive socialism, which you can trace back to Karl Marx, and Karl Marx who originally said that religion is the opiate of the masses, then that progressive socialism leads to secular humanism. And why is that interesting? Why is that important? Because this country, the United States of America, your inalienable rights come from a creator. But if all of a sudden you can have a governing philosophy, an ideology that takes God away from you, God with the big G, and is replaced with government with the little g, then who is the grantor of your rights and your freedoms? And then the last triumvirate. When Angela and I were over in Europe this past summer, and we were there walking through Amsterdam, and we saw all of these beautiful Gothic cathedral churches. But they weren't churches anymore. They were just museums, or they were just hangout places, or what have you. This is exactly how it happens. The progressive socialism takes away the faith, that belief in something that is greater than yourself. Then it's replaced by secular humanism, which basically says, you know, man is in control of his destiny. Man is the one that grants your life and your liberty and your pursuit of happiness, or guarantee of happiness. But then all of a sudden you get an outside entity that can come in and supplant that belief that you once had. And that now is this Islamic totalitarianism. And think about that. A billboard on I-95 that says, if you want to find Jesus, you can find Jesus in the Quran. Well, first of all, that's historically inaccurate. Because the first time, you know, Muhammad or this faith called Islam was ever mentioned was 610 years after Jesus Christ. But the thing is that if you erode the faith and the belief, then all of a sudden it can be replaced with anything. That is what we're facing. Progressive socialism, which leads to secular humanism, which leads eventually to something else replacing it. And it can't be Islamic totalitarianism. And if you tell me that can't happen, I saw it happen in Europe. And we have to make sure. And I want to leave you with this simple quote from Sir Edmund Burke. All that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing.
And you can follow us on our respective blogs as it's Alan West.
AlanBWest.com.
And the Republican Coffee Corner with Angela. And you will be hearing a lot more from us in the future. But keep steadfast. And?
Loyal.
Okay. And keep your eye on the Lord. Thank you.